Hello all, this is Halloween, and if you love haunted locations and walking through the cemetery as much as I do, you may want to subscribe because I'm going to be taking you somewhere new every week. In today's episode, we are headed over the river and through traffic into Zephyrhills, Florida to visit the Oakside Cemetery. Enjoy! We're here at Taco Amigo in Zephyrhills. It's kind of like an outdoor food trucky type of place. Let's go in and get a bite to eat. We've arrived at the Oakside Cemetery in Zephyrhills, Florida. This cemetery was established in 1911. Let's go in and see what we can see. This is a pretty wide open cemetery, meaning I don't think there's ever a time that it really closes to the public. You can come in at any time, there's no gate. But this whole first half of the cemetery, it's just all footstones. They're not as exciting, I guess, to see, and they're all very similar in the way that they look and everything. So I'm basically going over to this other side of the cemetery, and this is where a lot of the more historic burials will be. There are veterans of wars here, like 7 different wars, including World War I, World War II, the Spanish-American War, the Korean War, I think Vietnam, and a couple of others. So it was a popular burial site for those living in Zephyrhills at the time that served in those wars, or lived out the rest of their lives here when they returned home. So we're heading over here. I love how it's crazy because the footstone area has hardly any trees, and then you get over here to the where they have more headstones and there's more trees. And there's a historic marker. We're gonna go check that out too. Here is a Sante family plot. I think I'm saying that right. It's S-A-N-T-E, Sante, but there are several of them here. We got a Louis, a Pete Sante, Mary Sante, and Charles Sante, all buried here together. These are really neat. Look at these. But their headstones are still in very good condition. They're photographs. Must be some kind of a family crest. I'm not sure. Here's an H.J. Holden. Look how good their pictures are. They're still in such good shape. Mrs. Carrie Millspaw, wife of H.J. Holden, passed in 1934. H.J. Holden himself passed in 1944. And Annie Lippincott, beloved wife. So this must have been his first wife, obviously, and his second wife over there. Now his first wife died in 1927. And he got right to it, I guess, and married Carrie. And she passed in 1934. Because there's not too many years, right? Between that, him finding Carrie, remarrying, and then she passes in 1934. So that's something. These are really neat with the brick at the bottom and the ledger on the top. I believe these are above ground burials. So I think the coffin is just underneath this ledger here. It comes off about a couple feet off the ground. It may be inlaid into the ground a little, but I'm not really sure. This is a Howard McGee Moore, who passed in 1970, and Hilda Mae Moore, passing in 1973. We have a lot of really neat older headstones here. Just saw what I believe to be the oldest one, 1911. That's when the cemetery was established. However, as we know, they could go way back. Oh, here's a whole veterans section. Look at this. I love this. This whole section right here is a small military section in this cemetery. Very cool. It's not saying which wars though on these headstones. There's a few more over there towards the road. Cool. I want to go over here and read about the cemetery a little bit. So let's go look at the historic marker. Oakside Cemetery, deeded by Zephyrhills Colony Company, or Corporation, same thing, right? To the Oakside Cemetery Association in November of 1911. This hallowed tract is the burying ground of veterans of 6 wars in which the United States of America has been involved: the Civil War, Spanish-American War, World War I, World War II, the Korean conflict, and Vietnam. So that's what I was trying to tell you about earlier, is all these veterans are buried here, and we just saw a whole cluster of them. Unfortunately, it doesn't say on that type of headstone which war they fought in. There's a whole plot here. It's kind of run down a little bit, no green on it at all. The name is almost completely worn off. It's just, and it's not concrete on the top. It may look like that in the photo. It's just dirt with no grass. That one needs a little TLC. It is dusk. It's around 7 p.m. So that it's a little dark. It's kind of wet outside because it's been raining on and off all day. So it's a little bit of a dreary, damp night. But I guess I prefer it to the 115 degree weather we were having earlier before it rained. It was so muggy and so hot. You can't get away from it here in Florida. You're hot inside, you're hot outside. But it's nice. It's a nice evening. I'm going to take some more photos of some of these really cool headstones. I didn't see that anybody famous or anything was buried in this particular cemetery. It's mostly veterans of wars that we were involved in. Over here, there's a small niche. These are the kind that the full casket goes into. So this is casket burials, or it's a mausoleum technically, I guess, because it has the full casket inside. But it's the only one I see in the whole cemetery. And over there is where all the footstones are. It's not a big cemetery. It's not real big. Just real historic. And this particular area where the mausoleum is, there's a lot of newer headstones. Look at this mausoleum. This is cool. It's pretty nice. Looks to be in pretty good shape. I've been seeing this last name a lot. Crandell. Crandell. That's like my first initial and last name there. Crandall. There's a couple of Campbells here, Edgar and Beatrice. Very nice. Looks to be kept, taken care of. A little bit of a rusty water situation. But other than that, it's nice. These are cool, like little metal plaques that go on the front. You can see them better than the engraved. Now, let's take a look real quick over here. It's beautiful gardens as far as like the grass and everything over here. Looks very nice. These are all the footstones. It's only us in the cemetery and lots of birds. They have a lot to say. Isn't that beautiful? It's a little monument. It says the original monument was constructed by the Samuel Richards family in loving memory of their daughter Bernice Richards Tarbo, who passed away in 1939. This standing monument was recreated by Public Works staff in 2006 in cooperation with the Garden Gate Circle. Look how pretty the grass looks. It's almost sweet light out here right now because of all the rain. And everything just looks so vibrant and beautiful. But yeah, we're on this side now. The side with the monuments and headstones is small. It's small. It's mostly footstones in this cemetery. But we've checked it out. I recommend, especially if you like war veterans and things like that, there's a lot of that going on here. That whole other half over there is a lot of veterans buried over there. So we're walking along the other side, and the mausoleum has two sides, which is cool. And look, we're right next to the woods. Maybe we'll see a bear.
Creepy.
Or a snake or something. I hope not. It's interesting, as I'm standing here next to this Ellen F. Marston, I smell perfume. Like a woman's perfume. It's not my perfume. There's no flowers around here. Come see if you smell this perfume right here.
I can smell it.
Right next to her grave.
I can smell it.
Ellen Marston.
I can smell it from the road here.
Yeah, it smells like...
It's stronger.
It smells like some kind of flowers, like gardenias or a really beautiful... It's a really nice smelling fragrance. But it's not mine. I'm wearing some, but it's definitely not the fragrance that I'm wearing. So that's really cool. I was drawn to this because I took a still shot of this, but I like the script of the 1856 to 1935. I think the script looks kind of cryptic and cool. But I can't get enough of that fragrance. It smells so good. But anyway, we are actually probably going to head out of this cemetery now. We've pretty much seen it all. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you at the next one. Thank you so much for joining me again today. I hope you loved today's episode in the cemetery. The cemetery was awesome. I really didn't expect a visit from one of the departed laid to rest there, but I believe that I did encounter something. I don't know what it was, and while I'm filming this right now, I haven't really looked at the footage yet, so we'll see if anything comes up in the footage. But I definitely smelled like a floral, maybe like a scent of gardenia. I don't think it was quite gardenia. It was another, I think it was another flower, but I smelled that, and there was no flowers around Miss Ellen F. Marston's resting place. So I think it was definitely a visit, which was awesome. And it was such a really nice day to enjoy it because it wasn't so hot outside. After visiting the cemetery, we ended up going to a place called the Dog Pound, downtown Zephyrhills. And it was kind of like a cool place. Like, you could take your children there. It was more of a family-friendly. It looked like it was going to be a dive bar from the outside. And then you go inside, there's like pool tables. They had bingo going. There's a whole game room. And a lot of really cool activities for the kids to do. Kids are welcome. They serve things like pizza and just snacks and stuff like that. And it also has some really good craft beers available there. If you are in the area or you're visiting Florida and you're around Zephyrhills, you can definitely check that out, especially if you're with your kids. It's not really, in my opinion, it wasn't really an adult sort of place, but we had a couple great beers there and, you know, just kind of relaxed for a few minutes before we headed back home. It was really cool. Anyway, that does it for today's episode. If you haven't already, please remember to like, subscribe, and share the video, and I'll see you next time.